Welcome to everybody. We're really happy you all had a chance to join us today. It sounded to me, because we had a pretty good registration today, that the topic for today was something that might have been pretty interesting to folks. And that was assistive technology smartphone apps. So I'll walk you through kind of what the agenda is today. We're doing a welcome and an intro right now. We're going to do just a very brief refresher on supportive technology, which is really the focus of our whole program here at Tech Ambassadors. So we try to take a moment in every one of our events to just kind of cover those basics and make sure we're all talking the same language. And then the vast majority of our event is going to be focused on our Tech Ambassadors themselves, sort of presenting to everyone examples of smartphone apps and/or features. We have a couple of little features, and then one sort of special thing near the end that they are going to describe themselves. And in some cases, we'll be able to give you a little visual of how these things look. And then we'll try to reserve a little bit of time for Q&A right at the end. But again, we're going to have to kind of see how this goes today. All right, so just a couple of basics. We just want to cover what Tech Ambassadors is for everybody, in case you may not have been to one of our events before and aren't familiar with us. So we're a grant project commissioned by the department, and our focus is to provide peer mentoring for people in Ohio. So we put together a team of people who can do that. There are 8 of us, 8 Tech Ambassadors, 7 of whom are adults with developmental disabilities, who are what we call passionate users of technology in their everyday lives. And then we have 1 Tech Ambassador who's the mom of a child with autism, who can maybe speak more directly to family members. So we hold events all around the state, and we have a combination of things that are virtual, like the event that we're doing right now, and then in-person events we do. And we do those all over to talk about the technology that we're using with our peers. Okay, and our Tech Ambassadors are going to get the chance to kind of introduce themselves just for a second as they talk about each of these smartphone technologies. So we're going to let them talk when we get to that part. So since I mentioned we do events, we just want to really briefly cover some things that we have upcoming here this spring. The very first one is an in-person event that we're doing in Athens. So that is February 23rd. That's next week, a week from tomorrow. Oh, I have 11 p.m. That is absolutely wrong. It's 11 a.m. Here, I'm going to back up for just a second. And that is a lunch and learn. So 11 p.m. would be a pretty late lunch. So that's going to happen from 11 o'clock to 1. Anyone who's in that area and would like to come, we'd love to have you. We're going to give away a free Echo Show 5 to a pre-registered individual or family member who comes to that event. And you'll get to meet our Tech Ambassadors, Tanner Huff and Chris Cooley, who you'll hear from in a little bit. And they'll bring some of the technology they use in their everyday lives with them to kind of show that in person. Then we're having another in-person event in Dayton. That's going to be in March, we believe. We have not 100% finalized that day. We expect to have this day finalized probably within the next day or 2. I wish we had that so we could give a date. But that registration information will also be available on our website when that gets finalized. So if you're in Dayton, we hope you visit us there. And then in May, we've got a visit planned to Akron, which again, we're going to be announcing a date for in coming weeks. Okay. The big thing, though, is at any point, if you go to our website, which is ohiotechambassadors.org/events, you can see our whole calendar and register for any of the things that we've got, whether they're in person or virtual. A couple of little tidbits here about different ways that we can help outside of the Tech Ambassador events that we're doing. Okay, so 1, we do like to schedule plenty of Q&A time, because we really want to interact with individuals and families. That's kind of the heart of what we do. And we love to attend meetings, conferences, advocacy groups. We have done much of this. We've been quite a few conferences and staff meetings all over the state to talk about technology and the way we use it. So feel free to invite us to those things. But the biggest goal we have, and the thing that we love to do more than anything else, is to meet directly with individuals and families. If they have any question about technology, if they are considering tech for any reason, I mentioned specifically increasing independence here because that's a pretty big focus of our grant project. But anything that we can do to kind of assist folks who are, like I said, have questions or that we can help in any way, we want to do that. And for any of these things, if you'd like to book an ambassador, what you want to do is you visit our website at ohiotechambassadors.org/request, or at any page on the website, there's a really big orange button that says book an ambassador. And all you have to do is just click that button. And that's going to take you to a form where you can just fill out a little bit of information for us to tell us what type of request you have. And we will get to work trying to get that on our calendars. All right. Okay, one more little thing before we get rolling on smartphone apps today. I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we like to just kind of run through what we call a supportive tech refresher in every one of our events. So supportive technology is a term that the department likes to use. And in their terminology, supportive tech means it's kind of comprised of two different components. So the first one of those is assistive technology. So that might be a familiar term to most of you. I say this is equipment that assists people with developmental disabilities, but really it doesn't even have to be equipment. It can be anything that helps a person with a developmental disability and when I say activities of everyday living, that could mean almost anything. Okay, so this could be special adaptive devices that were custom made just for people with particular disabilities. I mentioned things like induction stoves or medication dispensers, med alert devices, things like that. But they could also include, mainstream consumer devices, I'm calling them, things like digital assistants or lights or doorbell cameras, really that are publicly advertised and that lots and lots of different people have in their homes, but they may have special uses for those with disabilities. But really, they don't have to have batteries or need electricity at all. I mentioned things here like an adaptive fork, a rail in a bathroom, a pillow. We would even consider something like a service dog to qualify as assistive tech. So those are the things that help folks with developmental disabilities. And then the other half of supportive technology is remote support. So this is support that's given to folks with developmental disabilities by trained staff, but it's just delivered remotely. It's delivered over two-way audio or video, usually video. Folks in this remote location can help out a person who may be by themselves with lots of different things that a person who's in their home could help them with. But it often does involve some of the equipment and devices that we mentioned in the assistive technology list. Okay, so things necessary for the remote staff to just make sure the person in the home is safe. So those could be cameras or sensors, door locks, thermostats, etc. And we're going to actually have examples of a couple of those today. All right, so let me just stop for a second. And the way that I have shared, let me hear from my panelists and or my co-hosts here. In the way that I'm doing this, is everybody able to see our featured speaker and our interpreter? Anyone want to chime in there so I know whether we have to switch this up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see the interpreter and the featured speaker.
I'd be more interested to know if our attendees can see George, the interpreter, and George's screen. That's
Someone would have to type that in the Q&A for us. Okay, I see a yes. Great. Thank you very much.
Great.
All right. So we're going to get on to the actual topic here. And as we talk about assistive tech smartphone apps, what we're going to do is kind of hand off to each tech ambassador, and they're going to get a chance to comment mostly on one app or feature that they use in their life, talk briefly about how those items help them personally. And we're going to also try to cover these aspects of each one of these apps or features. One, of course, what it does. Two, does it have a cost? Is it free, or is there a cost associated with it? And then platform availability. So smartphones, we have a ton of folks who are iPhone users, a ton of folks who are Android users, and occasionally some of the apps that are available out there may only work on one platform or the other. And you'll see as we go through these a couple of examples where we have one of our tech ambassadors who may be an iPhone user and they're using an app. I'm going to take just a second or two to discuss what an Android compatible sort of feature would be for that particular functionality. All right, and we are going to start with Miss Marcy Strotter, and she has two apps that she uses in her everyday life that she wants to show us, and those are August and Nest. Take it away, Marcy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcy Strotter, as George said. A couple of the devices I use is the smart lock. Okay, I receive remote support. So when I received it, my service coordinator and my remote support provider, I can't use my left hand that well, it's weak. So they thought of this idea, my remote support provider and his team, and I got a smart door lock. It's called August. It's really, really easy. You can download the app on the App Store. It can be, I use an iPhone. I don't know if they use it on Android, but it's like when you want to lock your door and you can, it's red, and when you want to unlock it, it's green. But one important thing that I like about it, it doesn't happen often to me, but if my door gets jammed or something like that, or I forget to lock it or things like that, my remote support provider can open it up for me and lock it for me and make sure everything is okay when all this happens. And it's really made me feel safe in my home, because I lived with my family and everything, but living on my own, that makes me have a safe thing, because I used to be scared to be at home by myself. So that's a really, really good thing that I love to have. It's one of my favorite pieces of technology. Another,
great, Marcy.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. I'll just mention real quick. August, we're on August. Yes, that is free, and it is available on both platforms. So that's available on both Android and iPhone. And of course, those are free because you have to buy the door lock that comes along with them.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Marcy.
Yes, so it's free. You just go on there and do the search thing, and it's right on there. It costs, what it is like if you receive remote support, your waiver can pay for it, and you don't have to pay for it. That's how I got mine. So next up, I have the smart thermostat. Okay, with the smart thermostat, how I got it was hard for me to see with my thermostats, the traditional locks, that the one they had in the apartments. So because I had low vision, my service coordinator and my remote provider cooked up another plan. So I got the Nest thermostat, and I can control it on my wall, but I can also control it on my phone. Now, there's an app, the Nest app, the thermostat app, and it's free. And I can control it from if I'm in my room or something like that, or if I don't want to go onto the wall to where the thermostat is, I can make it like if I'm hot, like, or cold, like in the winter when I want it hot, I can do it and make it like nice and warm. And then I can also, in the summertime when I want it cool, I do it at a cool temperature that's comfortable for me. So also my remote support staff can also, if I'm having trouble with it or something like that, they can adjust the thermostat and things like that to make sure it's on the temperature that I like it on. And one thing I like about the app is you didn't have to buy anything. It's free. And it's
Right.
really cool and a good thing to have in your home.
Very good. So
But
similar
but
to
I wanna
August.
say, yeah. Can I say something, George, right quick? Or you want to say it?
I'm sorry.
I was gonna
ahead.
say, if you want these devices, when you go, if you're getting a house or an apartment, talk to the people, the landlords in the real estate office to see if you can put these in to your apartment or in your house or something like that, so you won't get charged.
Right. So similar to the August, where there's some hardware that you have to pay for that goes along with the app, the Nest thermostat itself is an item that would be purchased, and they're going to give you the app for free that would go with it. All right, Marcy, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. The next app we have, and Tech Ambassador to talk about that app, Robert, is going to take a minute and talk about the Cash App. So this is a real important category of apps, and there are probably a half dozen or more different types of apps that folks can use these days to send money to one another. You know, you're just going to split a bill in a restaurant or however you're going to do that. So Robert, take it away. What do you like about the Cash App?
I'm Robert Shoebank, Southwest Ohio Tech Ambassador. And what I like about the Cash App is its flexibility with my bank account. I had a problem with providers, stores, restaurants, taking money out of my account because I used my bank card before. So after a couple of times of having negative balance, I investigated the Cash App card, which is a pretty popular card. It's all it is it's a reloadable card, a Visa card called Cash App, and you can link it to your bank accounts, and then you transfer money from your bank account to the Cash App card. It has an app that you click on your phone. It's iPhone and Android compatible.
Right.
And it's very simple to use. You just swipe left or right. There are only 5 tabs you can click on, and you can send money to other people. You can purchase DoorDash with it. You can buy stuff online with it. Transfer money back and forth to your bank account. I use it a lot when I go to the grocery store and I get too much, and it comes out to be more than what I have on the card already. So I just take 2 minutes or less and transfer money from the bank account to the Cash App. and it works immediately.
That's
That is
great.
really-
And take a minute if you would, Robert. I know you talked to me about the difference between Cash App and other things that people might use for the same purpose, like Venmo or PayPal, that also have apps. What makes
Yeah,
this
my
a better option
experience-
for you?
In my experience, and I'm legally blind, so I don't see the screen at all. But the Chime app and the PayPal's are a little bit complex and they're more visual based. They're not as accessible as the Cash App.
Okay.
So I've been using the Cash App for about 2 years, primarily because it's very easy to use.
All right. That's perfect. I appreciate that. By the way, you can see the screenshot there. That came from my phone and my Cash App. That is not intended for anybody to send me money. Please don't send me money. All right. Thank you, Robert. Let's move
Sure.
on. So the next app that we have here, Chris is going to present on an app called Seeing AI. Take it away, Chris. Oh, you know what? Did you want me to show this video first? Let's do that.
Let's do that. Then I can say a few words.
And you know, I may have to stop my share and reshare in order to do
Well,
that.
if you want me to talk about it, we can play it later.
Let's do this. I'm gonna stop this share. Well, let me ask our participants, is everyone seeing something besides our slideshow right now? I've lost my mouse. Yep, I'm gonna have to stop this and restart it. All right, this will just take a second, forgive me. All right, this is gonna work much better this way. Seeing AI, here we go. I'm gonna play this. And Chris, you can talk about it while we play it. Oh, whoops, we want the video, not the photo. All right. So we don't have audio for this. Chris, tell them what they would be hearing if you had audio.
Well, now we see on here, it's Seeing AI. It's an app that's free. Right now you're seeing an advertisement that I got in the mail. I can't read it. So all I have to do is turn it on and point the camera to it, and it'll read what's on that flyer that I got. And then if I don't know what's in the room, or if I'm at a store, I don't know where things are, possibly I'm looking for groceries and not just pots and pans, I could take pictures and I could point my phone to different areas and take pictures and figure out where I might need to go. It's a great app for anybody that is visually impaired or well, not hearing impaired because you gotta hear it. But those that are nonverbal, you know, it's a great way to do that. And then we have.
So wait, I just, let's point out to them what your app actually captured here. I paused it.
Okay. So what
So
I took,
go ahead, Chris.
what I took a picture of was just an example. When you walk into my kitchen, you're going to look at a shelf. Let's just say that you came to visit me and you don't know where the microwave is, and I may be still in bed sleeping, and you want to use the microwave. Well, you could take a picture when you get to my kitchen door area, take a picture, which I have showing on here, and on top is the microwave. So it'll tell you that there's a shelf with dishes, but there's also a shelf with just the looks like a microwave. So therefore, you know, in front of you, it looks like a microwave. You can find it that way.
Great. I'm gonna let it go now so that everybody can see what's next.
And here you are. You see a lot of people advertisements how you could take money and be able to stick it in the machine and do all that. Well, let me back up. Okay,
Yep, that's fine. Here, I'll take it back to the dollar bill.
yeah, okay. The dollar bill, you could use money, and all you have to do is there's a money sign. You click on the money sign. Let's just say that if you're nonverbal or maybe visually impaired or maybe just don't understand money at all, you could actually take this app and be able to use it to tell you what a dollar bill looks like or which one is a 10. You know, it's really helpful for learning how to count money, learning what money looks, what a $20 bill looks like, $100 bill looks like. This is a great app.
All right, and the next is what folks saw just a second ago.
Yeah. Next you're going to see that I held up a can of Lysol, which was something that was really close to me on the table. I picked it up. You'll see a barcode on the app. So when you see that barcode on the app, you can push it and then take a picture of the barcode on your item, like the Lysol, can of Lysol. And it'll tell you if you can't read or if you don't understand letterings and things like that. If you're at the store and you don't know if that's a Lysol, you can actually point your camera to the barcode and it'll say Lysol or maybe steak. You could do that with steak, frozen food. You could do that with multiple things if you're in the store and don't know. It won't tell you the price, but it'll tell you what the item is.
All right, that is awesome. So this is a free app, correct?
It is free, and you could get it on Android or iPhone.
Well, I'll hold up. You cannot get this app on Android. So what I'm going to show them is an Android app that functions a lot like Seeing AI. Okay, if you have an Android, an app you may want to look for is called Envision AI.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So
Very
here's
simple.
an example of that one, and these will be just really quick. So I open the app and I just turn it around and I scan my coffee machine. And you'll see, just like the Seeing AI app, it's going to pop up and visually tell people, looks like a coffee maker next to a coffee cup. Okay. I would say this app on an Android may not work quite as nicely as the app, the Seeing AI app on iPhone, but they're both worth checking out and they're both free.
But there's one more thing. You can take a picture, and I didn't want to really take a picture of myself because it lied to me. It says I'm 65 years old, but you can take a picture. You can take a picture of someone sitting in the room and be able to if you don't know who that person is or you don't you want to know a little bit about them, what they look like, you can take a picture and it'll tell you what they look like and maybe their age, but it always tells me I'm 65 and I don't like it. But it's a good app. It's a good app for folks that are teaching the elementary schools and different things with kids with multiple disabilities.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. That's great.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. We're going to have Brittany come on and talk about an app called Tiimo. Take it away, Brittany.
All right. So this app is one of my personal favorites and also a favorite among a lot of the individuals that I have worked with in the past, including children, adolescents, and young adults. So Tiimo helps us stay on task, plan for our day, and keep us organized. So for example, we can put together our daily tasks on this app. You can download this app either on your app store on an Apple device. You can also download it on Google Play, and you can sync it to your laptop, desktop computer, or your Apple Watch, or your Google Watch as well. So it can go on all of your devices. And basically, you can choose pictures or icons to correlate to your daily tasks. And as you choose pictures and your daily tasks and put them on your calendar, it will give you nudges. So it will vibrate your watch, or it will pop up with reminders to tell you things like, did you eat breakfast? Did you take your medication? Did you remember to feed the dog? Did you remember to take out the trash? Did you finish your homework? Did you brush your teeth? Did you take a shower? For me, in my own personal life, I'm a mom to a son who is 16 and has autism. And so a lot of these things are good visual reminders to him, and things that I would normally have to verbally prompt him on each morning, but instead he gets these prompts to his cell phone. And so he knows every morning I need to look at my phone and I need to see what I need to get done before I walk out the door and go to school. I personally use Tiimo as well, because I also just need to stay on task and remember what I need to accomplish each day as a mom and as a busy professional. So it goes both ways. It can work for those of us who have careers and have busy lives. And it can also help you support the individuals that you work with every day in your lives without having to constantly prompt them in verbal ways. This allows them to have more responsibility over their daily responsibilities. This app can be free, or you can pay for the full version. It's $34.99 per year. And Tiimo is just a really small business. It was started by 2 women, and I think they are now up to maybe 7 or 9 employees. So a pretty cool company, and I've been using this for a while. It was actually recommended by a young girl that I was working with, and it's one that I have continued to use ever since.
Awesome. Awesome. It sounds like too, you might be able to use this for folks, like even in a work environment. Do you think maybe it'd be useful for people to help keep, tasks that they have to do in their job?
Absolutely.
As well?
Absolutely.
Neat.
Especially if you are having trouble with multitasking. One of the first questions that it asks when you set up the app is, what are you looking to accomplish? And then the next screen will ask you questions like, do you have trouble focusing? Do you have trouble managing your time effectively? Are you a visual learner? And it then tailors the app to what your specific needs are.
Great. So we're getting a question here on this one, Brittany, that asks, are you able to use this for multiple users for the same price? Do you know?
Ooh, that is a great question. I do not believe that you can set up multiple users. When I have had to use this, I had to set my son up with his subscription using his Apple ID, and then I have my own subscription using my Apple ID. So I don't believe that you can have multiple users on Tiimo, unfortunately.
Okay. Good. That is the perfect answer. All right. Thank you. Great. All right. Next up, we have Tanner, who's going to come on and talk about shortcuts on an iPhone. Then we're going to talk about a corresponding feature on Android called Action Blocks. Take it away, Tanner.
Yep. I'm Tanner, and I want to describe, as George said, the Shortcuts app on iPhone, and it's through the Apple App Store, and it's free. And how you, like, what it does is you can either, as the video might show, choose shortcuts from a gallery, which you can find the gallery on the far right hand bottom corner tab. And it has different shortcuts that people with disabilities can use by voice, or if they have like an iPad or an iPhone set up with the voice synthesizer, if they're nonverbal or have trouble talking, you can hook it up to be able to probably say that phrase for the person, or they can, if they have limited mobility but can tap the screen, you can enable it by one click. But what it also does is let you have multiple tasks done at once. So like if someone comes home and wants the lights on and say like music and the like stove like preheated for dinner, all that can be set up using shortcuts with one like tap or the say of one phrase to do all of that if all the devices are compatible with, say, Alexa or Siri, because Siri can like work through Alexa. So you can have like the Alexa app on the iPhone, Alexa, and say stuff through it even on an iPhone. So it'll work between different products if that product can be enabled through a voice assistant.
Great. And I think it's really neat, the video that Tanner recorded on his iPhone showed you so many different options and so many different things that you can automate in this way. I mean, you could do a ton of things that aren't even really accessibility or assistive technology related. They're just conveniences, but there's a special category just for the accessibility things. So what I'm going to do real quickly is just show you.
Can I mention that you can, I completely was not even thinking of this, but if somebody doesn't even know how to code with a computer, they can like make automations and shortcuts themselves. There are tutorials on YouTube to show people how to, like, step by step, create shortcuts.
Great. And I'm glad that you mentioned that one last here. I'm going to show you something compatible on an Android, but there's some really significant differences between shortcuts on an iPhone and what I'm about to show you here, called action blocks. Okay, so on an Android, the big difference here is, one, action blocks are really almost all accessibility related. Okay, it's not that you couldn't use these for other things. You could use some of them. In fact, one I'll demo here. I'm demoing actually setting these up. So the other big difference is all of these things are manual on an Android. So if you want an action block, you have to set it up all by yourself. Okay, So it's giving you some shortcuts here on the Android. What should the block do? Is it going to make a phone call or a video call, send a text, for example, or say something out loud? But you have to build these yourself, whereas you saw on the iPhone, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of these that are already put together for you, and you just have to choose one.
And
Okay, so I'm going to just play the video very quickly of setting up an action block that could call someone. And just like Tanner described on the iPhone, this capability here, it's just literally going to say the words call Madeline. And I have had to, I needed a contact named Madeline that it could reference. It's going to go to the contact list on the phone and look that up. So that's my daughter, Maddie. So that wouldn't have worked if I hadn't already had that set up on the phone. So then, you give it a name and then assign it to a button, which in just a second you'll see here. There you go. So on mine, I had an action block set up, just says help me. Just touch the button and it just says the word help me. One that says walking directions home, right? So wherever you are, it opens up your map app and gives walking directions to wherever home is for you. And then the third one is a text message. Okay. Anything more you want to say quickly about these, Tanner?
Yeah, some of the shortcuts that I have actually, like on my video with like the iPhone where it said Siri Pro, that's actually a shortcut that I did not get through the Shortcuts app. There was a link to someone else's shortcut that they were able to let people use to set that up.
That's
and
neat.
like there's a dedicated website for the shortcuts to work with the app.
Okay.
So
well, I'll say
like, you
this.
don't
That is another thing that's quite a bit different from an iPhone and an Android. I'm not aware of a way to share an action block. I'm not aware of a site where you could download action blocks like you would be able to shortcuts. And we haven't talked about the price of these because in both cases, these are actually built in to the OS of the phone. So they're part of it. You do have to go and download, turn it on in both situations, but there's no cost for it. All right. Thank you so much, Tanner. Moving
You're
on.
welcome.
We're going to let Jen talk about medical ID. This is another feature, just like the one we just talked about, that's sort of built into the OS here. Take it away, Jen.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen, and probably of our group of tech ambassadors, I think it's fair to say I probably am the biggest app user in terms of quantity, because my current count as of this morning was 884, and I use about 800 of them on a weekly basis, because I run my whole life through my phone with apps, because I have limited use of my hands, so my phone is my go-to device. And so as part of that, I'm a big fan of apps that are free, apps that already exist within the phone that I'm using. And the app that I'm about to show you was, at the time, single-handedly the reason why I bought an iPhone as opposed to buying an Android device. So on Apple's operating system, there is now a feature called Medical ID that enables a user to go into Apple's Health app, turn on Apple Medical ID, and put in important information about their health. You know, your name, what health conditions you have, any medications that you're on, any instructions that you want to give anyone, and any emergency contacts that you want people to be able to call if you're having a health problem. And so turning that on and putting in that information allows you to then, once that's set up, what that enables someone to do is, if something were to happen to me, someone could pick up my phone, go to the lock screen of my phone would not have to be unlocked, and by tapping the emergency button on an iPhone's lock screen, it pulls up this information that I have here showing on the left of my personal Apple Medical ID. And then if you were to scroll to the bottom of this, you would be able to see my emergency contacts, as well as all of this information that I've already pre-put in about my health, what you might want to know in that moment that I'm having problems. At the time that I got involved in this component of Apple a few years ago, no such thing existed on Androids, but I know that George is going to talk about a few options that have come about since then. For me personally, I highly recommend these if you're someone who has a recurring health problem. Although personally, I'm one of those app users that if there is a feature that I want that doesn't seem to exist, I tend to build something out of it. So I'm actually currently working on my own application to replace both of what you're seeing here today. But these definitely, to me, are a great place to start if you have health information you need to share.
Excellent. And Jen did record a really short video of accessing the medical information that I'll just play really quickly. So there's the health app she was talking about. And then there's the medical ID. And that accesses the information she was just talking about. All right. I'm going to really quickly just show you the Android version of this. And this has changed. The big difference between an Android phone and an iPhone is there could be many manufacturers of an Android phone. And so what you're going to see here may not happen in exactly this way. For me, I pull down, go to the settings, and then on my phone, I've got safety and emergency category, where all that medical information is available. That looks shorter than what Jen wrote because I didn't add a bunch of notes. There's a place on an Android to add those notes as well. But those are, again, super helpful features of those OSs. So I'm glad we took the time to talk about those. All right, so the last one here is, it's really a little bit of an anomaly out of our list. Brad, well, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to play this short video that he recorded for us. So he's going to describe what he did to really give him access to his phone. And then you're going to get a chance to see how that worked. All right.
I have cerebral palsy, which affects my muscle control, especially my fine motor controls like my fingers, which makes it impossible for me to use a cell phone the traditional way. A couple of years ago I started playing around with microcontrollers, which are just programmable circuit boards that have the ability to control things such as motors, lights, and other things. Some of these microcontrollers have the ability to act as a mouse and keyboard. A little known fact is, with a lot of smartphones, you are able to plug a USB mouse and keyboard into them. This gave me the idea of programming a microcontroller that would move the mouse around on my cell phone and to input letters into the phone, all by using a simple button beside my right knee. As you will see in the video, as I hold the button by my knee, the screen to the left of my phone will scroll through options, and when it gets to the option I want, I release the button and the mouse starts to move on the phone until I press my button again. Then, you will see me entering text into a text message through a somewhat specialized Morse code system I programmed onto the microcontroller. I created the physical setup with my 3D printer, and it simply attaches to my wheelchair. Probably my favorite part of this contraption is that all of the materials, the microcontroller, and the little display, cost a total of $30.
So you're getting a chance to see that. If you look the little display here to the left of the phone, you can see the direction that he's got the mouse pointing as he moves it. You might be able to see left click, right click, or flashing across that little display there, which is super cool. All right, so that's a somewhat unique example to use to kind of finish out our list of technologies. Because in this case, Brad had to kind of invent his own machinery and way to access his phone. All right. So we have just a few minutes left here in case anybody has more questions. We did get quite a few questions during the actual presentation, so we appreciate all of those. Either that, or if somebody has an example of maybe an app you use on your phone, you know, that would fall into the category of assistive tech and you want to mention it, we'd be happy to know what that is as well. All right, we'll give everybody just another second or two here.
Hey, George, while we're waiting, I would like to mention, you know, after you know, we let everybody go, I would encourage everyone to go to our page and give us feedback with the yellow button. Give us feedback.
Yeah,
How you like it, what you didn't like, you know, just let us know what we can work on or make better, however you want to do it.
appreciate that. And there should be an exit survey where you're going to get to provide that feedback right on the as you exit the webinar today. So I did get a couple comments here. One mentions Yuka, which is an app that tells you more information about ingredients and products. That is pretty interesting. So Maggie sent that suggestion in. Maggie, is this a situation where you could use maybe a scanner on a phone? Do you scan a barcode maybe? Okay, yes. Great, great. And then Sarah is mentioning an app called Sullivan Plus, similar to Seeing AI, and operates on both platforms and is free, which is super, super neat. I'm getting a question from Nicole about getting CPDUs. I will just say this, Nicole, we really have never conducted any of the seminars or webinars that we've done in an effort for folks to be able to use this for any kind of continuing education. It doesn't mean we would be completely opposed to the idea, but you should get with us outside and we would be happy to provide information you know, to you. We can be reached at info@ohioTechAmbassadors.org if we want to carry on that conversation afterward. All right. Well, again, we really appreciate everybody coming today. It was a good crowd. We had some good questions, and hopefully we got a chance for everybody to see some really interesting and very, very helpful examples of assistive tech that are on that device. I think if you ask most of our tech ambassadors, they would tell you that they consider their phone to be probably the most important piece of technology they have. And I think that goes for most of us, besides tech ambassadors too. So very big thank you to you. Very big thank you to all the tech ambassadors and the work they did, doing a little research and putting some of these graphics and videos together. And thanks to our interpreter here today. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Bye, everyone.